Welcome back to canadair build. Okay, so we have the wings finished here. We have the wires hanging loose, right? On both sides. I don't have the ESCs hooked up. It's for a reason. Okay, because to keep them dry, the ESCs are going to go inside the airplane. But on the sides here, there's just little holes for the wires to fit through, right? Okay? So when I put this wing on, these ESC wires are going to go inside there, and so will this wire go down inside this hole. But if I plug these in here, they're very difficult to get to plug the ESCs in. Do you know what I mean? So the speed controls, I'm going to build them first. I'll show you in a minute. We're going to wire these together. Okay, and I'll stick these out here, the wires, out this hole, plug in the CSC and then pull it back in when I put the wing on. Because once you put the wing on, unless you're going to use it to transport, you don't have to take these off. But if you do, it's just unplugging this and unplugging this from the Y. Because inside there again, we're going to unplug this into a Y harness before we put it in. But we'll set all this aside for a minute. And I'm going to wire up these ESCs. Show you how I do it. And then I'm going to wire up the two electronic speed controls. Oh, this way, both the same battery, the two motors, and then I'm only going to use the power from one speed control to power the receiver, not both. Okay, so we'll set this aside, and I'll move the camera in, and we'll get to work on these speed controls. Well, welcome back. Okay, I made this. Plug on a long wire. Okay, now I'm taking my two positive leads from my electronic speed controls. I'm going to use a clamp here. I'm going to clamp them together. You see this? Okay. Now I've got a piece of shrink tubing on here. I'm going to put this here like this. See that? I'm going to solder that in place. First off, like B1 Bob, I like to use flux. I've always used flux. Back when I was first taught to solder, man, I've got this type of flux solder, this type of solder, this type of solder, this type. I have 4 or 5 different types of solders, depending on what I'm doing too. I mean, not all solders are equal. I have some heavier, I think it's a 60-40 silver solder. Man, I gotta get more solder in there. I need more. There. Okay. So soldered nice. Now, use a clamp. I mean, you can use anything to hold these together. I got a little vise here in front of me I could use too, right? But I choose to use clamps. Okay, hold them there. Now remember, I put shrink tubing on the wire to begin with. Oh, what did we forget to do? Ah. See, I have a can of flux. But I have a chunk of styrofoam over here. Okay, use this. And that can I've had all my life. It's not something you go through a lot of, but I use it on all my soldering. I don't have any problems. I've been soldering wires and RC stuff for jeepers. 25 years, 30 years, almost 30 years. These a good pull. See, I don't like that. If you don't like it, then I'll add a little bit of flux, and I'm going to introduce some more heat and some more solder to that. Then I'm going to introduce some small electrical solder. That wire's going to come loose as soon as I let. There we go. I bet you that connection's a lot better. Yep, I just check, make sure the solders seep right through the bottom, and if you can see, these solder joints are nicely full of solder. No dry spots on the wires. Okay, I'm going to bring the shrink tubing up. And a little fire. The shrink tubing all shrunk on, and that's bringing the power. I'm going to use one battery for these. Okay, that goes to one battery. Now, I'm going to do this to go to the receiver.